So the next phase of the system lifecycle is the implementation stage. So the idea is we've gone into the business, we've analysed what we need to do, we've designed the system, making sure it's fit for purpose. We've then implemented and tested the actual programming stage, so we've gone and developed the program itself. Now what we need to do is we've got the program, it's tested, it should work, so we need to now actually start thinking about using it in the business. So what we need to do is, first things first, we need to actually train the staff on the new system. We then need to transfer paper files or electronic files to the new system, so we need to scan in the documents, key in the data, and download files to the new database. We then need to actually change over the system, where we need to look at the various types of changeover, which is direct changeover, parallel running, pilot implementation, and phased implementation. So first things first, we've got direct. So the direct changeover is where we stop the old system and start the new system immediately. However, the bad side of that is if the new system doesn't work, the whole business will stop because it can't run anymore. It's stopped. You can't actually go about doing any more business because the system is broken and the old one's been got rid of. However, costs are reduced because you don't need to pay for the old system. So you're running one system, not two systems. There's a little bit more risk in there. We've then got parallel, where the old and the new run side by side until the old one sort of slowly phases out. So the old system's there as a backup in case something goes wrong. You can gradually train your staff, but that is more time consuming as you've got two computer systems now that you've got to enter data into. Now the next changeover type is pilot. So if you start piloting a system, you maybe pick one office or one place and you implement the system for a month or two and then assess whether it works well or any difficulties before you distribute it to the other places that you've got the system working. Now it's very similar to parallel, but it's much cheaper, safer and easier to implement because you've just got one small area. If something goes wrong, it's not the whole business. And then you've got a phased system where only parts of the new system are introduced and other parts are slowly implemented. So you maybe just do one section of it, then another section, then another section. Now, if something goes wrong, so say you've implemented 3 out of 5 and the fourth one breaks, you can just roll back to the previous phase and go back and fix the old one. However, this takes up a lot of time and it can become very, very expensive. Now a little comparison there. So your costs for parallel are high, the input needed is high, but the systems team is low input from them and there's low impact of failure. Pilot is like a medium cost, not much needed by the user because most use the old system, and in the idea is the pilot system, the place that is running the pilot will probably get a little bit more directed help. Medium from the systems team and impact of failure is low. Phased is sort of medium across the board. Direct costs you less. It's a reasonable amount of input from the user because they've got to sort of adapt to a new system. The systems team will have to run 2 different teams at once or 2 different systems at once, but if the failure happens, then there's a big risk there and a lot of things can go wrong. So some kind of consideration. So the things we need to consider when we're doing a changeover is, firstly, is there a time limit? Do we actually need to make sure that all these changes we've made need to be done by a certain date? If there is, then we need to think about what type of changeover we're going to do. Now, is there a cost limit? If it's going to cost us loads of money because we're running loads of systems, then we might have to use a more direct method. Do we need to back up our system beforehand? Is there a potential for losing some data or something failing? Is there a safety concern? Is the training going to be hard to do? And do you have different departments that are going to need different training? These are all things we need to consider before we do the changeover. So some example questions you might get in an exam will be comparing and contrasting pilot and phase implementation, or describing 3 out of the 4 methods of implementing a new computer system. So marks wise, you'd be looking at something like this. So we can say that neither of these systems introduce the system as a whole new system. It's all phased sort of in. It allows for the performance of the new system to be assessed, allows gradual training, and they both take time to introduce the whole of the new system to the whole company. However, pilot implementation is implemented in one branch at a time, so if one system fails, only one branch is affected. Implemented a company which has branches all doing the same work. Phased implementation is done part by part, so only one part has been implemented, but this could affect other departments. Now, if you was talking about different types, you You talk about the direct changeover, parallel, phased, and pilot, looking at like a mark for each one of these different points. Now hopefully that was helpful and you understand the implementation phase of the system lifecycle, and I'll see you in the next one.